Hello, my name's Richard and I'm here today to tell you a little bit about our GPS events tracking system. I'm assuming you're watching this video because you've already made a reservation with us and are wanting to learn a little bit more about the system. So you will have arrived with us via either this website, which is our GPS events tracking website, or perhaps the other hire portal. Usually people find their way to us if they're organising cycling events, running, walking, motorsports, all sorts. Anyway, I'm going to tell you a little bit first of all about the tracker, which you may have received or will shortly receive through the post from us. It'll arrive by special delivery or via courier. And the trackers are one of three different models. All of them are very, very similar. So the trackers have a single power button, which is usually on the top, or definitely it is on the top, and that is all that is required. You hold down the power button for a few seconds, the lights all come on, and periodically the little green light will flash on all of these devices, and now and again you'll see a blue light flash as well, which indicates that it is transmitting the information. Once the device has been powered, all you have to do is simply store it in a bag, rucksack, or wherever you wish. The devices are water resistant, but they're not fully waterproof, so they will handle a heavy downpour. But if you're expecting severe weather, then we would always recommend that it was stored in perhaps a dry bag or even a plastic bag of some type, just to keep the vast majority of the rain off it. You can then just pop it into your bag and forget about it. The only other button you need to be made aware of is this large one on the front, which is the SOS button. This is only enabled on request, and if you do wish to have it enabled, you share with us up to 3 mobile telephone numbers, and if the SOS button is held down for about 3 to 5 seconds, then the recipients, then the mobile phones will receive a text message from the tracker, which basically states the name of the person who has sent the request, a tracking link directly to view where they are on the map at that point in time, a time and date stamp, as well as a long and latitude, which you could supply direct to emergency services if they need it. So that's all you really need to know about the trackers, other than that when you are finished with them, you can just hold down the power button on top for about 3 seconds, and a red light would appear on the front of each one of these. And that red light will stay there for anything from 1 or 2 seconds up to 1 or 2 minutes as it begins and completes its power cycle. So that's all you need to know about the trackers. Let's tell you a little bit about the website. So you will have been sent a link to the Race Drone website, which will say racedrone.net/event/ and the name of your event. In some cases, you will just click on the event and you will go straight in. In other cases, more specifically Duke of Edinburgh's and things like that, you will be asked for a password, and that's purely for privacy and protection of those viewing, so only those authorized can see the event. So let me look at a couple of events in progress and give you a demonstration of how the tracking will work for you. If I view all the events on here, you can see there's lots of publicly visible events. As a general rule, the Duke of Edinburgh events don't usually appear in this particular list. I have made one scouting event visible in here just for the test purposes to show you in a minute. So let's take a look at an event in progress right now. So over in Greece, as it happens, there is an event called Spartathlon, which is a 156-mile run over 36 hours where people have to run from Athens to Sparta. So here is the map. In this case, we're looking at a Google map, and you can click using the standard Google controls between a satellite view, between a map view. You can zoom in and out using your mouse wheel or using the plus and minus buttons. And of course, you can use the standard controls where you would drag the little street view person onto the map, let go, and there you have a view of what the participant might be seeing if they were at that location. Okay, I will show you another type of map later, which is the Ordnance Survey maps. That Ordnance Survey don't apply to Greece because they don't have the coverage. So anyway, let's talk a little bit more about what you can see when you first load the map. What you can see is the map itself. And then on the right hand side or below, if you're using a mobile device or smaller screen, you would see the participants list. So here we have around 18 or 20 participants, and it has the flag number, and this refers to the number which you can see here. It has the speed in either miles per hour or kilometers per hour, depending on what you specify the distance of the event might be. And finally, we've got a view of which checkpoint was the most recent checkpoint that they have reached. Again, this is purely optional. We don't have to show this data. In this particular event, there's 72 checkpoints indicated by all of these little flags here. And as a participant passes by, it will automatically check them into that checkpoint. And indeed, if you were to click View Checkpoints here, then it will actually load a page which shows you the time that each participant reached each one of those checkpoints. So you can get a good idea. It also acts as a leaderboard. And in fact, these people right now are in leaderboard order in terms of who reached the checkpoint the soonest. So you can hopefully see that Nathan here is moving the quickest, and he has reached checkpoint 35. So that is what you can see from the participants list. You can remove all of the participants. You see all those little red flags have disappeared, and you can individually just show one or just show two of them, and only the ones you're interested in will appear. If you were to hover your mouse or click on the flag with your finger, if you were using a mobile device, it will bring up a little bit more detail in terms of the name and the speed. It will show you the time and date that the last update was sent. So this is just a couple of minutes ago. You can see the accuracy of the GPS lock, which was only 3 meters, so that's a very accurate lock, and also the remaining battery percentage on the tracking device. So let's move back over to this area here. That would be, broadly speaking, all you would normally need to know. Up in the top corner, you can hopefully see, if I move this across a little bit more, a countdown. We will generally set this countdown to once every 2 minutes, and every 2 minutes you'd get a refresh of the page. And as that happens, you would see the participant progress move if the tracker has sent an update within that time. So if we were to leave this on here for another half a minute, you would actually see those participants move. Let me tell you a little bit about these lights at the corner at the side of their names. If you refer back to the key up here, it tells you what that status means. Green means the tracker is powered on and they are moving. Orange means that they are stationary or standing still, and red means the SOS is activated. It's just about to roll over for the next update, so if we keep an eye on these, we may see them move. Indeed we did there. Did you see number 8 and number 7 move along the route? Previously they were here, and in the last couple of minutes they've moved around to there. So that was a demo of the movement, the automatic update. The other light colours were red for SOS. So as well as receiving an SOS, you would see an SOS status, and their little light would go red. And there's also a grey light. If the tracker has not received any update for an hour for whatever reason, then the light will go grey. Finally, there's a black light to indicate that the tracker has been physically powered off or that the battery has run down to 0. The battery life varies across those models that you can see here, but broadly speaking, these trackers will last at least 4 days, up to 7. This particular one will last a little bit longer than that because it has a larger battery. So you haven't really got any battery concerns. We can supply you with a USB cable if you wish to use, if you charge them halfway through, but all of these trackers are good for a typical gold expedition because they will work for 4 hours, 4 days non-stop moving. If you factor into those overnight sleeps, then you would get them working for up to 7 days, typically, these smaller ones. This one a little bit longer than that. So things like gold expeditions are well within the capability of the trackers on just a single charge. Finally, this white light you don't need to refer to unless you happen to be using our mobile app as a tracking device. That's not to be confused with using the mobile app to view this website. We also offer a facility where you can use your mobile as a tracking device by installing our app as well, but I'm not going to get into that on this particular overview. Okay, so now we've had a look at one event, let's scroll back and take a look at one of the other ones. So let's have a look, for example, at this Children's Society. This is an event today where a person has actually cycled from Gloucester Docks up as far as Chipping Campden, and he is then running along the Cotswold Way. And if I was to zoom in, let me change it to satellite view, you can see exactly where he is right now on the satellite map. So he's actually just off the Cotswold Way, and he's about to discover in a minute or two he needs to go a little bit to the left. So you can see here the beauty of the tracker. If you see any person or group way off course, you can intercept them and make sure they are back on course. Here's an example of one with an Ordnance Survey map, and it has a password as well. Let me just tap that in. There we go. Okay, so that's been password protected. You can see this one immediately uses Ordnance Survey maps, and if I was to zoom back out, it will go right out to a 1 in 250, a 1 in 100, and as you zoom in, you'll see that these ratio changes to a 1 in 50 scale map. And finally, if I get a little bit closer again, you will see that you then have a 1 in 25,000 scale map. This, of course, is excellent for Duke of Edinburgh expeditions, or indeed anything where you're in parts of the country where you're following the footpaths more so than the roads. So in this example, you can see that I've got a start point. I've also got a checkpoint 1, and I think a checkpoint 2, and a checkpoint 3. And of course, as the participants pass along here, in this case there isn't a fixed route, they can go any way they wish. When they get within a tight radius of this checkpoint, they will be checked into the checkpoints just as they were on the other type of map. Other than that, the map type, it is absolutely identical to the other maps that I've shown you, in that when the event was in progress, you'd see a whole list of participants who were going along here. That a list of participants only appears on the day of the event, and they will be removed or vanish at midnight on the day the event ends, and that's purely for privacy reasons. The final thing to show you, if I go back onto the Spartathlon event, it hasn't actually concluded yet, but there is a view and playback feature. If I click on playback event, actually this one is a poorer example because it doesn't have Ordnance Survey maps, but generally what would happen is if I was to go onto the playback, it would play back the recordings. Let me see if I can find an event that does give you a good example of that. Okay, I've loaded this event, which was called the King Offers Dyke Race, which took place, it takes place every year, but it was in September 2017, and you can see that the race follows the Offers Dyke footpath, which broadly speaking is the old England and Wales border. So you can see again all of the participants that are listed down here, and you would usually click play, and what would happen is you can see that in 5-minute time spans, the little flags representing the participants begin to make their way along the route, which is very useful. You can see exactly how the race or how the event panned out in real time. As well as that, for certain events, and definitely for all Duke of Edinburghs, you would see some download buttons here for download GPX and download KML. So you can download the GPS file or download a KML file directly onto your machine, and you could import it, and again you could review the routes that they took against where they were supposed to go. And I think you saw one shoot across there. I think someone retired from the race and was brought to a checkpoint. So this is a very useful teaching and training tool. So after an expedition, you could show your students this and perhaps highlight to them where they went wrong and where their navigation may be able to be improved. So it's a very, very useful learning exercise. So that concludes the demonstration of the events tracking, which is powered by our events website RaceDrone. If you've got any questions, by all means get in contact. Our main telephone number is here, and you'll find that there is an emergency telephone number on the back of every single tracking device, so you can make contact with us anytime during your event, and we will give you some help and advice. So we look forward to tracking you on your next event, and thank you for using GPS tracking and RaceDrone.